What's up, guys? We're gonna brobeatz. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys to make some bedroom pop type beats. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the video. Let's go ahead and get started with our bass guitar. So we'll jump around here between drums and stuff like that. So for the BPM, a sweet spot is 70 or 140, which is like the default in most DAWs. You can kind of give or take. You don't have to put exact. In the scale, you usually want to use a major, right? If you just want the real style, but you can use a minor if you want. You can just use a C sharp major, and this is the guitar we're using. All right. It doesn't really matter the quality of the sound. It doesn't really matter too much because these sounds are not like super real or anything. So for this, I'm gonna just give you a generic bass line because it's too free. Like you can really do anything you want, but how you want to construct your bass line is you want to just literally fill in every single square here, and we are in a 1/4 beat in halftime, so keep that in mind. We're in halftime. You just want to do something like this, and we could just put it on the root and pull it down, and then you can kind of pull things up and just repeat it. Now the generic bass line I want to give you is this, because obviously it'll just be easier just to give you this, right? And then we can kind of pull these out a bit. I don't know if it'll really do anything, but and that's pretty much it. That's all you got to do. That's your bass line. If you want to edit velocity, you can, or if you want to change it up to whatever, you can, but this is just something quick that you could just throw down. So let's go ahead, and I think what we can do now is do our drums. Because what we want to do is build reference so it's easier to make the melody. All right, so now we're going to start our drums. So I like doing the drums after the bass line because it's easier to make the melody once you have kind of like a reference. By reference, I just mean it's just kind of like the beat is built already. So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna just show you the drum pattern. So this is just a simple drum pattern, so it will look something like this. Now we're in halftime, so it will be stretched or squashed down a bit, but this is what it looked like. And you just repeat that, and you can add other stuff in. You can kind of do what you want, but I just want to give you kind of like what works, and then you can kind of turn these up how you want. Gotta be careful with the snare because it's already loud. Okay, and then let's go here and zoom in. Matter of fact, here, let's go here, and we're just gonna fill in all these just to make it easier. All right, so then we come in here, and let's make this a little bit quicker. We'll zoom in, and then for the hi-hats, this is what you want to do. And I'm gonna make this a little bit larger just so you can kind of see what we're doing. You want to add some life to it. So what I like to do is take this second one here, pull that down, and then I like to bump up this one just a little bit, and then put this one somewhere in between these two. And I like to just repeat that, and then you can kind of just pull everything down. And you can see it sounds super robotic like this. We don't want that. So you want to repeat this on this side pretty much. I'm gonna just do it manually just so it's not the exact same. I'm gonna bump that up, pull that down. Now it sounds a lot more real, and we can add effects such as like a delay or reverb to kind of give it a little bit more bounce, which we can do later. So yeah, now we have our drums. I think these might. It sounds a little odd right now, but we will get there. So next we're gonna go ahead and do our guitar. Now we're gonna go ahead and do our melody. So this is the guitar that I'm using. All right, so all we need to do here is take this bass line and just copy it here, and then we can just delete this, all this extra stuff. So now we have a range or notes that we can use. So with these notes, we already have our melody. You just got to kind of give it rhythm. So how this is possible is if you take these two notes, and how I would do this is every time a bar changes. So this is the first bar. Okay, and you can check by going to bar, and it'll literally tell you. And this is the second bar. So every bar, you pretty much want to change. This is where you'll kind of change your rhythm, or like your, I guess your chord progression, whatever. So what we're gonna do and everything else in between doesn't matter. We're gonna take these and go up 7. And this is, if you don't know music theory, this is just a quick way to get past making a chord from all this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or this will be a 5th. You can check your work if you just use some of the tools you have, as you can see. And you're pretty much done. And every note in between you can use, you can pull up an octave and make a melody out of. Okay. And you can start throwing some of these notes around. You can make a chord backwards. It all works. It's up to you. If you want to make a chord upward, you can do that. There's just some quick things you can do. Well, ultimately, you just use your ear. So one tip that I'll give you is, since we're in halftime, so you want to keep the same type of rhythm. So if I do something like this, you want to do something similar over here. You can, of course, add stuff over here, but you want to keep it similar. So what I would do, if this was something I was just making in my own time, I would do something like this. Right, and it's already sounding pretty good. Of course, we got to add effects to give it the sound, but that's pretty much what you do. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna make this a little bit longer. You just use your ear here. So let's, and I'm gonna just copy this over. So I kind of like that. I kind of like having a lot of space. So over here, same thing. I want to make sure everything is pretty center. You can take more time if you want to. I'm just kind of trying to do this semi quick, not too fast for people that just want to watch it real time, but something like that. And we want to keep that same rhythm, so I should have just left it how it was. And just give it a little extra on this side. You can give it a little extra. And you'll only know this will work once you put the drums in. So let's put them in and see if the rhythm is nice. All right, and that's pretty much everything that we need. So what we're gonna do now is do some effects. So I'm gonna just throw some effects on that I would use on this, just to kind of give you an idea, and then we'll kind of go through that and finish the video. All right, so let's run through some effects. So I loaded up what we absolutely need to get it to sound believable, but if you want to take it further and add other stuff, you can. So for the drums, with the hi-hat, I added a delay. So with the delay, I pulled the feedback down a bit so it wouldn't overlap too much. And you want the time to be at 3, if it'll show in the top corner. So it's at 3, not 4. You want it at 3. The reasoning is so you can have a humanized bounce, which is usually the triplets effect. So I'll show you with it off. Oops. And then on. So that'll kind of give us some life to it. And then we put everything into a bus. And of course, I just boosted the EQ a bit. We put everything to a bus like so, right click, track routing, route selects this track only. And then you just add some character. Now, the default way of doing this is you could just boost the EQ, and I'll turn it on and make sure it's off. And then I'll put this in mono because at least how it sounds, most drums in the genre sound like they're in mono. So you could do the EQ method, or you could just put a plug-in like what I did here. Okay. It's up to you on what you want to do. So moving on to the bass guitar. So with our piano roll, the guitar will stop when the note stops usually with most plugins, so that'll make it sound robotic. So what we did here was we put a free convolver to give it tail, so that it's not as robotic. And then I separated it 47% and all. And you can control how, you know, the effect, how strong you want the effect on there, but that's what I did there. And then for the, I probably would separate these a bit as well, but for the main guitar, I would just mess around with presets really, but all you really need is like reverb, you know, maybe like a chorus or something like that. But I took out some of the lows, boosted the highs for that, like for the noise in the strings, and then I separated 75%. And then this is what I chose. So I bounced around a few plugins, but this is the one that I liked, or not plugins, but presets. I'll show you it. And I really like the way that sounded, so I just used this. And then lastly, for like the actual effects here, I just threw on this here in this preset. You can use Guitar Rig 6 or whatever amp plugins you have, or you can try to come up with some stock chains and stuff like that, but this is just what I use, what I thought sounded good. So I'll put it at max. And that's pretty much it. And that's just what I would use personally. You can use whatever plugins you want, and I think this is enough. And then for the master, I just threw on like a custom little preset here. I don't really think it needs it. I think it sounds perfectly fine like that, but all right, and that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.